2 years ago, in the office building, we see Carla walking around looking with her flashlight for any infected. We see her heading back and meeting up with her friend Hank. "This side of the floor is clear," she informed him. "Alright, that's good. We should look to see if there's anything useful we can use before going to the next floor," he says. Carla and Hank look through the many drawers and cabinets of the office spaces. "So, any luck with getting in contact with the others?" she asked. "No, nothing," he stated. "Did you hear about the cities going dead too? We can't stay here for long. Taylor's needs a doctor, and we'll run out of supplies," she stated. "Yeah, this is really bad. We should keep looking," he says. "Agreed," Carla stated. "It's getting depressing down there, honestly." After several minutes, Carla looks and sees a calendar on the wall. The office space had papers and junk everywhere. She looks, seeing a family portrait on the desk, and picks it up, seeing a beautiful woman next to a handsome man and 3 young kids. She looks at it, looking sad. She exhales and slowly puts it down. "I hope you all are safe wherever you are," she stated. She moves away from the cubicles, not wanting to be reminded of people from the past. She goes into the office break room. She looks around and sees the refrigerator. She slowly opens it, seeing all the spoiled food, and the smell was even worse. "Ugh! I don't even know what I was thinking. There might be something good in there," she stated, repulsed by the smell before closing the door. "I hope we find some help soon. Another week of this pandemic might kill me," she stated to Hank. "Honestly, I'm in the same boat," he confirmed. Downstairs, we see the dead soldier lying on the ground under the blanket. He starts moving. He quietly growls and gets up as the blanket falls off of him. As the blanket fell off, the soldier's eyes were pure black. He began to growl louder and started walking into the other room. Back upstairs, Hank and Carla continued to talk. "You never know. The one thing in life that's a guarantee is that there are no guarantees," he says. "My dad used to say things like that. He used to say if everyone was hardworking, we wouldn't know who was lazy," she stated. "Well, that's a motto. We should keep looking," he stated, when suddenly, several gunshots were fired down below them. "Wait, what was that?" she asked, scared. Hank took his radio. "Lieutenant, what's going on down there?" he asked, when Carla ran past him. "Come on, hurry!" she screamed. Hank followed her, and leaving the room. In the present, we see a flooded river as the water rushes. Suddenly, an arm bursts through the water as a hand grabs the grass. A person climbs out of the river as we see that it's Benjamin. Benjamin was soaked in water and he coughs up a lot of water. As Benjamin lands on the grass, he continues to cough as he holds onto his side. He laid on the grass looking at the sky. He tried to catch his breath after his near-death experience. Benjamin lied down, breathing heavily. He looked, seeing there was something sticking out of his side. It was a small piece of metal. He was about to pull it out, but stopped himself. "No, not yet." He dropped back down, exhausted. After several more minutes, Benjamin got up and checked himself. His knife and guns were gone, all of it. He was defenseless. Benjamin cursed, and then he thought about the others. Rebecca, Rachel, and Tyler. "Rebecca. Oh God, I have to find them." He slowly gets up, but drops back down, holding his side. "Oh no!" Benjamin realized he was in more pain than he thought he was in. Benjamin groans as he slowly gets back up. After several hours, we see Benjamin knocking down a walker before killing it with his bare hands. Benjamin then checks its pockets. "Nothing!" Benjamin cursed. Suddenly, he heard something and ran to the side of the road, hiding behind a trunk. He sees a car coming. He quickly hides as the Humvee passes the road. It was another one of them, all black, armored, and a 3-ring circle on it. It was definitely them. He was back to the danger zone. He looked as they ran over the walkers he killed. He heard the radio go off, but couldn't hear what was said. As they drove away, Benjamin waited and stood up as he went to the road and saw a sign. Benjamin cursed and realized he was on the wrong side of the bridge. "How the hell am I going to get to the other side of the bridge back to them?" he asks. Benjamin then goes to follow the road as he kills another walker. He checks its pockets again, nothing. An hour later, it was dusk as Benjamin takes a pair of tweezers. He quickly grabs the piece of metal still stuck to him. He pulls it out as it drops to the floor with his blood on it. He then applies a gauze on it before putting his shirt back on. He then hears something outside and looks, seeing walkers back on the road. He then kills 10 more of the dead as they all lie on the street dead. He looks and finds a knife that was stuck in a walker. He pulls it out of the walker, but the knife was dull. Benjamin then looks at the knife, getting an idea. Sometime later, Benjamin goes around looking through some bedrock in the forest. He looks around through several rock piles in the forest and picks up a bedrock. "It's too rough," he stated. We then see Benjamin soaking the stone in a water bucket and then pulling it out. He then starts scraping it against some concrete. He looks at it, seeing it appear shiny. He then uses his knife and sharpens the knife until he sees another truck pass the road. Benjamin decides to follow them, and then suddenly hears a loud sound in the sky. He hides and sees something in the sky that he never would have believed he ever see again. A helicopter. A solid black helicopter moves so fast he barely gets a look at it. Benjamin looked at the road and checked where he was. "Okay, I need to head this way." As Benjamin walked for a good while, he took his knife and looked at it. It was sharp enough now. He then saw another group of walkers in the road and went forward to kill them. As he did, he struggled, holding his side before killing the last one. As Benjamin killed the last walker, he dropped to the ground, breathing heavily. He tried not to pass out. Benjamin then heard something else in the distance. He was getting ready to kill it. Benjamin saw that it was another walker. The walker was a short girl with long hair. Benjamin was horrified. "Rebecca?" Benjamin looked at the little girl that he used to take care of, standing before him as a mangled, walking, growling corpse. Rebecca growled at him as her face was chewed up. Her hair was stained black from all the blood, and her CRM uniform was soaked in water. She launches forward, but Benjamin holds her with one hand as she growls and tries to bite him. Benjamin thought back to the sweet young girl that he knew for the last year. That girl was gone. "I'm so sorry, Rebecca." Benjamin gently stuck the knife into the side of her head. As she stopped moving, Benjamin made sure not to drop her as he removed his knife and picked her up. He then carried her in his arms. "I got you, Rebecca." Benjamin lifted her up and proceeded to carry her away. An hour later, the sun has already set. We see Benjamin covered in dirt, sitting upon his knees on a fresh pile and wet soil. He slowly makes a cross and places his whetstone on the top of a grave and gently places his hand on the grave. "Goodbye, Rebecca." Benjamin then looks through his pockets and unzips a sleeve. He takes out the card that she made for him in his envelope. It was soaked as he opens the card. "Dear Benjamin, if you're reading this, it means I was too scared to tell you this in person. I'm so sorry for how I acted in the past year towards you. You didn't deserve that, and I was out of line. Damien and Philip put so many negative emotions into me and my family's life, so that when they were gone, I chose to blame you instead of fixing what was wrong with me. I am truly sorry for that. I didn't appreciate you saving us that day in the forest, or giving us a home, or taking care of us, or saving us from Damien when he broke in your house, or when you saved us from that hurt, or when you saved me from the raiders back home. And as I list all these good things you did for us, I make myself feel even worse knowing how I didn't do a single thing for you. Damien never cared about what we wanted, and Philip left us to die. He gave up on us. He stopped trying. You never did. You went back for us and put yourself in danger. You were more of a brother to me than they were in our entire lives, and it took me a year to realize that. Once again, I'm really sorry for my inexcusable behavior towards you, and hope you'll see me as a sister, because I see how you and Rachel act around each other. You both seem so happy, especially Rachel. I've never seen her that happy in all my life when she's with you. I think I know why. She loves you. And honestly, I hope for all the best with you two. You're right for each other. You're strong, good-hearted, and brave, and she's determined and smart. You two make things work out even when everything goes wrong. Thank you, Benjamin, for always being there for me and my family when we needed someone. I'm glad you're in my life. I hope we can talk after you read this and continue being a family. Love, Rebecca. He finishes the letter. Benjamin cries into his hand. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. He cursed. I really tried to save you. He cries over her grave. Find Rachel and Tyler. Keep looking after them. He says, all alone. Elsewhere, Carla and Manny are on the road as she looks around the rainy forest. She looks through binoculars and sees a lot of walkers. That used to be my home, she says, pointing in the distance. As they look around, Carla doesn't see anything. Be careful. There could still be enemies here, she warns him. Manny nods and looks around. Stay close, he says, seeing a walker before killing it. As Carla follows him, she looks around at the surrounding forest that used to be her home. The forest was eerie and creepy as the fog made everything hard to see. I can barely see you in front of me, she told him. Okay, well, please don't mistake me for one of the dead. I'd hate to have a knife in my skull, Manny joked. Carla ignored him as they continued. Carla continued to look around. There was a lot of blood everywhere, and the forest had serious fire damage. She coughed a little. Be careful of the smoke. It's still not all gone. Carla! Manny shouted. Carla aimed her gun, ready for whatever came their way. Is this your friends? He asked. Manny came closer, holding a prosthetic arm. It was John's. Carla held on to it. It's John's, she said, upset. We should keep looking, he said. Maybe he's around here. As they continued to look around, they saw a body. It was Xavier's body. Is that him? He asked, concerned. No, Carla says, looking at him. It's the bastard who attacked us, she stated. Carla then spit on his body. Burn, dickhead. They then see another body further away. He had a gunshot wound in his head. Oh my God, Manny said in shock. Carla was horrified and couldn't say a word, seeing that it was definitely John's body. John! Oh my God! No! No, not you! She cried, dropping to her knees in front of him. Manny began to hug her as she continued to cry and scream. I'm so sorry, she cried. I shouldn't have left. They then stood there in silence. Many minutes later, we see a dirt and wet grave on the ground as Carla holds onto a dog tag. On the carving was Jonathan Andrew Mars. John was a real soldier. Not the type of soldier to follow orders and never question them. He wasn't a drone. He didn't think about his orders. He did ask questions. He didn't start trouble. He fought for what was right. He never left anyone behind. He was the type of man who would have given you the last bullet to stop yourself from turning. He saved me. John was one in a million soldiers from before, and now there's none left, she says. You sound like an amazing guy. I'm sure he had no regrets, Manny tells her. Yeah. John, I'll watch after Sean, Benjamin, and the others. Somehow, I'll make sure we make it somewhere where we can be safe. Make a place for ourselves so that you didn't die for nothing. I'll miss you. You were the best officer, the best friend I ever had. I'm glad you're with Hannah right now and don't have to deal with this pain anymore. I can't help feeling like I'm not ready to take your place. But I'm gonna try, she stated. And whether I fail or succeed, I will probably never know until I ask you face to face. I have to go now, she stated. We have to go. The others need to know, she finished. I'm so sorry, Carla. I only had a few of my friends go too. There was this girl, Kaylee. She was so young and had her whole life ahead of her, even in this world. I really liked her, but one day, I couldn't be there for her when she needed me the most. It ate me up a lot, but I realized the worst thing I could do after she was gone was to keep hating myself and not making the most of my life, because that's what she would have wanted from me. Carla continues to listen. Manny consoles her. Just like your friend, I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but I have a feeling he would tell you the same thing if he was here with us right now, he told her. Thank you, Manny. I'm glad I have you, she says, hugging him. As they hugged, Manny saw the walkers far away behind her. We should go, he stated. Sounds good. Where to exactly, she asked. How about that university, he asked her. Carla gave a warm smile, somber, nodding. Let's go, she stated. Manny smiled and proceeded to walk back to their car. As he walked away, Carla took one last look back to John's grave. She held onto the dog tag and was getting ready to put it on his grave, but stopped herself. She changed her mind, placing it over her neck. The dog tag overlaid her very own. Goodbye, John, she said farewell, touching the cross one last time before turning back and heading on her way. Elsewhere in the woods, Grace was helping some of the other women in the group set up camp. As she looked around, she glanced at her two boys, Caleb and Jacob. Next to them was little Nicole, who sneezed. Are you okay, sweetie? She asked. I don't feel so good, she stated. Grace placed her hand on her forehead. You're freezing, poor thing, she stated. Grace pulled out an emergency blanket with a 3-ring symbol on it and wrapped the little girl with it. There you go. Suddenly, her son Caleb spoke up. Mom, I'm cold too. And I'm hungry, Jacob said. Okay, let me see what else we have. I'll be right back. Mom? Jacob asked. Yes, honey, she stated. Are we safe? Yes. I think so, honey. We should be safe for now, she said, consoling her son. Where are Benjamin and the others? Are they okay? Caleb asked. I don't know, sweetie, she said, sad. I'll be back, kids, she told them. You boys watch Nicole, okay? I'll be right back, she says, leaving. Grace goes to look for more supplies as she looks unsure. Elsewhere in the woods, far away from the camp, we see Rachel and Tyler trying to escape a large group of walkers that are chasing after them. Rachel drops to the ground, exhausted. Come on, get up! Tyler screamed as he tried to help her up. Both him and Rachel were exhausted, trying to carry one another as they continued climbing in the forest. Hours later, at sundown, we see Rachel and Tyler sitting down in the forest next to one another as a pile of twigs lie between them. Rachel was trying to make a fire, but slight rain continued to ruin it. Rachel screamed, cursing, smashing her hand against a pile of wood. Rachel? Tyler said with concern. She looked at him as she looked broken. She tried to cover her face, trying not to break down. Tyler saw it. Rachel. She didn't budge. Rachel, look at me, he begged. He went over to her as she was starting to break down. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. Oh, Rebecca. She cried uncontrollably as Tyler was crying with her. He wrapped his arms around her as the two siblings continued to grieve. "It's not your fault. It's not your fault," he cried with her. At nighttime, Rachel was keeping watch in the woods as she looks to her little brother sleeping. She wipes a tear from her eye and then fixes his hair, taking a few leaves off of him as he sleeps. Rachel sighs and rubs her body, trying to get warm. He had the blanket, not her. Rachel listens to the sounds of the night. She goes to her bag and pulls out a picture. She looks at the photo. It was the one with her, Benjamin, Tyler, and Sean. She looked at it saddened. She then wiped another tear from her eye, trying not to wake Tyler up, as she felt like she was about to cry again. She then looked at another one of her and her family's. Her father wasn't even in it, and her mother looked tired, while Rebecca and Tyler were around her. She put it away, letting out a deep breath. Suddenly, she heard a growling sound in the distance. She turned to it, getting nervous, when all of a sudden, the noise stopped. Rachel was even more nervous and became alarmed as she quickly shook Tyler. She whispered, "Tyler, wake up!" Tyler was waking up. "What is it?" he asked Tyler when his mouth was covered. In the woods, a black figure pulled out their weapon from a walker and then aimed it into the night, shining a light. It was a soldier in black. "There's someone here," Rachel whispered. Tyler grabbed his bag. As the soldier aimed her gun, Rachel continued to whisper to Tyler as they both look, seeing a light in the distance. "When I say run, we run zigzag in the woods, alright? Use the trees as cover, okay?" she said. Tyler looked scared. You can do this, Tyler. Listen, we're out of time," she stated. "Go, now!" In a split second, Rachel and Tyler took off running. As she grabbed the bag, they ran from their spot as Rachel fired her gun several shots in the soldier's direction. The soldier took cover behind the tree before aiming her rifle again and fired back. Rachel and Tyler ran as fast as they could, zigzagging, using the trees to their advantage. As the soldier fired the bullet, hit the trees around them. Suddenly, a bullet hit close to Tyler as he fell face first against the tree before rolling off of it and dropping to the ground. Rachel saw and acted fast, firing a few more shots at their attacker. She looked back, seeing Tyler on the ground terrified her. "Tyler! Oh my God!" She quickly ran to him and flipped him over. Rachel saw a large cut on his face as blood came down. Without thinking, she went over to carry him but struggled. She dragged him away the best she could. As she tried to drag him, she was taking too long, when she then noticed a few walkers around the woods right in front of them. Rachel leaned him against a tree and pulled out her knife, along with her side gun. She looked around her for her shooter. Suddenly, a walker appeared from the corner, but Rachel pushed it back and stabbed it in the head. The soldier appeared, and before she could react, she hit Rachel with the gun, slamming her against the ground. Rachel looked on, terrified. "This is your fault. Why did you kill my comrades?" the soldier asked. "Do you enjoy killing them? Stealing our supplies?" she shouted, aiming her gun. Rachel raised her hands. "No, we didn't. We didn't have a choice. You all were massacring my friends back at the university," she stated. "We were homeless, tired. We didn't know they were your supplies. Why are you doing this?" she stated. "My sister died on the bridge!" Rachel screamed. "Don't worry. I'll make sure you join her too," she stated. Rachel was awestruck at what her attacker just told her. "What? You did it?" she asked, horrified. The soldier aimed her gun as Rachel was petrified, helpless to do anything, until a rock struck her from the back. The soldier dropped her weapon as Tyler charged to attack her again. Rachel tried to reach for her weapon when the soldier pulled out her knife, slicing at Tyler. Rachel grabbed her weapon and, fired by the soldier, ran, dodging the gunshots. The soldier was out of sight, but Rachel took off running after her when she was slammed against a tree by the soldier. They fought over the gun, struggling. Rachel didn't let go and punched her in the face, hitting her helmet. Tyler got up, holding his side, and aimed his gun, but was having a hard time as the woman kept spinning back and forth, fighting over the gun. "Rachel, move so I can shoot!" he shouted until Rachel saw a walker. She kneed the soldier and sank her nails into the underside of the soldier's helmet. The soldier screamed as Rachel clawed her. The soldier kicked Rachel off of her as Tyler fired his gun, nearly hitting the soldier. Tyler saw several walkers closing in on him as he quickly grabbed their bag and ran around the trees as the soldier killed the walker. Rachel and Tyler both ran in the woods as shots were fired over their heads. As the two of them ran as fast as they could, Rachel tripped over a root and began to slide as Tyler ran to her before sliding and landing on his back. Rachel and Tyler fell on the slope and began to slide down uncontrollably. As they fell down the hill, the two teenagers tried to grab onto anything they could, but they were sliding too fast. As Tyler screamed for his sister, Tyler grabbed onto some roots as Rachel landed against the tree. She grabbed onto it, grunting in pain. "Tyler, are you okay?" she screamed. "Rachel, I can't hold on!" he screamed. "Hold on, I got you!" she stated when suddenly a gunshot was fired, hitting the tree, nearly taking off her head. Rachel was startled and lost her grip as the roots Tyler held onto gave way. Before they knew it, both Rachel and Tyler slipped down the forest slope, rolling everywhere before dropping to the ground hard. Rachel and Tyler were both dazed and hurt. Completely dazed, Rachel looked to her brother. Tyler was face first in the dirt, not moving. "Tyler, wake up," she begged, trying to reach for him. She looked, seeing up a moon as her vision was fading away and was closing, slipping away out of consciousness. To her horror, she saw two walkers standing on the street, growling and snarling as they walked forwards. Rachel was too disoriented to move, but screamed as one of the walkers got onto its knees next to Tyler. The walker grabbed onto Tyler and got ready to devour him, when blood shot up from its head, followed by a loud bang. Another bang was fired, killing the walker, saving them. On the street was a tall woman holding the smoking gun. She was wearing a camo shirt and a hat worn backwards. She turned to her right. "Guys, get over here! You need to see this!" she screamed. Another woman came to her, wearing a similar outfit to her, as she was wearing a fisherman's hat. "Who are these two?" she asked. "How am I supposed to know? I just saved them," she stated. "Are they hurt?" an unknown voice asked. The two tall women looked at them. "They look banged up, but I don't see any bites," she said. "Bring them in the van, girls, hurry," the unknown voice ordered. "I got the kid," the woman said, carrying Tyler. "I got the other one," she stated. The back doors opened. "I'll help you get them in the van," she stated. The woman gently laid the kids inside the van and looked over at the kids. The woman was wearing glasses and a suit. "Don't worry, you two. You're both going to be okay," she told them. "You might need to say that louder. Don't think they heard you," one of them said. The other looked in the distance. "More deadheads coming! Georgie, let's get out of here!" she shouted. "All right, then let's go, hurry. I'll stay in the back with them," she ordered. The girls quickly got inside the van and started the car as Georgie closed the doors. They then drove away down the dark street in their van as the walkers chased after them. In the mansion, we see Gordon closing the door off the violent screams as the men trapped in the basement. Sean was crawling on the ground, about to pass. Gordon walked over to him, pulling out a syringe. Sean screamed for him to get away. "Don't worry, this won't hurt you. It'll just make you sick for a while," he stated. "Get away from me or I'll kill you! Merle, help!" Sean screamed as Merle was knocked out too. "Shh, shh," Gordon said, injecting the needle into his neck. Sean's vision became blurry as he began to pass out. He dropped to the ground, collapsing before his eyelids closed and everything turned to black. After several hours, the rain from the storm continued to hit against a window. His black hair laid on the bed. Sean lied very still on the bed. He began to open his eyes as he looked up at the wooden ceiling. Sean was lying on the bed, completely disoriented. Sean was somewhat awake and stood up as he fell right back down onto the bed. He realized that something pulled him back, making him fall back down. He turned and looked and saw that his left hand was handcuffed to the metal bed. He quickly panicked and began to pull on them, terrified. No, come on, please, this can't be happening!" Sean cried, trying to get free. As he pulled on his handcuff over and over again, he tires himself out. Sean breathes heavily, trying to calm down as he looks at his handcuff. Sean looked outside the window. The storm was still brewing, and he was in some sort of bed. Sean was deciding he should call for help, but decided against it. Sean was unsure on what to do next. Downstairs, we see Gordon going to the basement. As he walks down with his large flashlight, as he went down, he heard large growling. "Hello, sweetheart." "Hello, Cody," he said. Suddenly, the two of them lunged at him with blood and viscera. Both mother and son snarled at him. Somewhere else, Dan was banging on the door with his hands tied. He looked over and saw Alexa getting up. He removed her gag the best he could as she was panting. "Thank you," she said. Dan was muffling. "Oh, right," she said, pulling his off the best she could. "Thanks," he said. "What the hell happened?" she asked. "The guy drugged us and locked us in here." Dan whispered. "Oh my God," she said, scared. "We gotta get out of here," Dan asserted. "Okay, how do we do that?" she asked. I don't know," he confessed. "Are you serious? Oh my God, Dan." "Hey, don't get mad at me," he defended. Back in the basement, Gordon continued to sit on the stairs and talk to his former family. "I know I said I didn't need anyone other than the two of you, but sometimes it's so hard. I still love you both, but we can't play games anymore or talk about things happening. This time wasn't easy for me. There's this boy that's upstairs. His name is Sean, and he's a good," he said, as the walkers continued to ignore him, growling by the chains. "I made a decision. I want to give him the chance of being a part of our family. I know it's a big decision, but he's a smart kid. Remember how we always wanted to have another boy after Cody? And son, I think you made an awesome big brother," he confessed. They growled, trying to reach him. "Is that all you two have to say to me? After all this time? I do my absolute best. I've been taking care of both of you. I've been bringing people down here. They're the only thing you two ever eat, and I'm sick of this. I do all the work in this family, and I just don't understand why, for once, you two can't try to take my side for once," he stated. Cody and Emily continued to growl at him, unfazed. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have raised my voice at you two. You're both still sick. I'm sorry. I just want us to be a family again, and sometimes I feel like no matter how many people I send down here, you two don't appreciate everything I do," he apologized. "I'm going back upstairs. I'll bring you two more tomorrow. I have 2 others locked up. Please just think about it. I think you two will really like Sean," he told him. As he walked up the stairs, his bloody boots dripped, staining the floors as the walkers looked and reached, growling as he left the two of them alone. Elsewhere, Merle was clawing at a door as he started barking for Sean. He was getting mad, trying to get free, but nothing worked. Gordon heard him, but left him, not paying him any more attention. Upstairs, Sean continued trying to break free when he saw the door open. As Sean looked to see the person coming in, it was Gordon. "Hope they're not too tight," he stated. "Let me go!" he begged. "I can't do that, son," he told him. "Screw you! When I get out of here, I'm gonna kill you!" he threatened him. "You know, I could have killed you and your dog," he admitted. "You killed Victor! Why did you kill him?" he shouted. "I know what I did seemed wrong, but I did it for my family," he told him. "What are you talking about? You said your family was dead!" Sean said before realizing the horrible truth. "Wait, you mean your family is down in the basement? As walkers?" "Yes, that's right. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to kill Victor, but they were hungry. One day they'll come back and we can be a family." Sean jumped up, trying to kick them. "You psychopath! They're dead! Your family is dead! You murdered my friends! You're a murderer! Wake up! Your family is dead, and they're never coming back!" He screamed, but a hand smacked him in the face, knocking him down. "Don't you ever say that again, you hear me?" Gordon shouted. Sean was crying, holding his face, crying in sadness. "Oh God, Sean, I'm sorry. I trusted you!" Sean cried. "Sean, I swear it wasn't personal. A man needs to provide and take care of his family," Gordon told him. "You know what I swear? I swear I'm gonna make sure you die a horrible, painful death," Sean threatened him. Suddenly, Sean was slapped in the face and dropped back, hitting the back of the bed. "You should learn to respect adults. Didn't your parents ever teach you that?" Gordon said as he was getting up and leaving. "I'm giving you a chance to live and be a part of my family. Don't waste it. Be ashamed," Gordon said before closing the door. He takes the key out, proceeding to lock Sean's door as he goes off in the hallway. Sometime later, Dan and Alexa continued and tried to get free, but nothing was working. "Do you think the others are still alive?" Alexa asked. "I doubt it," Dan stated. "Whoever this bastard is, I don't think he's keen on keeping us all alive." "How and why we're alive right now?" "That is a very good question," Alexa tells him. "Could he be keeping us alive for something else?" Dan asks. "I don't know." "Do you hear something?" Alexa asks. "I'm not really sure," he tells her. Back with Sean, he continued to try and get free, but was unsuccessful again. He was crying. "Benjamin, please save me," he cried. No matter how many he killed, or what he's experienced, or how tough he was, it didn't matter. He was still just a kid. "Mom, Dad, I know you two can't help me, but I wish you two could be here because I can't do this anymore. Why did you two go and leave me?" he cried. "I miss you both so much. I need you both. I can't do this on my own. I'm too weak," he told himself. As Sean continued to sit on his bed in silence, helpless to free himself, as tears rolled on his face, he looked back onto the handcuffed wrist. He would never break through the handcuff, but he looked at the bar. Sean had an idea and began to touch the metal bar on the bed. Sean tried to pull the bar off, but it was also too strong. He then put his hand around the bar and then felt something. Sean bent over and looked, seeing it was a screw. He then looked, touching it, and saw another screw at the bottom of the bar. "Oh my God, yes!" Sean said, ecstatic. He grabbed the screws and began to turn them. They began to turn, being loose enough. He lifted one screw off and pulled it out. He held onto it, excited. "Yes!" He then covered his mouth out his stupidity. "Okay, one more to go," he said, getting the next screw. It was a little difficult, but he managed to pull it out. The bar fell off the bed, hitting the floor as he held onto the screw. He got up and ran for the door. It was locked as he turned the doorknob. Sean signed, "Locked." He then goes to some of the drawers and finds a lighter and takes it. He then pockets it and looks for a weapon. He couldn't find one. He then looks under the bed and picks up the bar. It was surprisingly sharp. He then looks outside, seeing the pouring rain. Outside a window, Sean slides open. As Sean climbs through it, he gets drenched in water and puts his feet on the roof board. He looks around and sees another window and tries to crawl towards it when he suddenly slips. He grabs onto a piece of wood, preventing him from falling off. He signs in relief and gets back up, going to the next window. To his surprise, he sees Gordon inside the room and hides. Inside the room, Gordon puts down a family photo inside a drawer before walking off into the hallway. Seeing that he was gone, Sean uses the bar and pries open the window before crawling inside. He locks the door and then looks around. He tries to dry himself with some blankets and then goes into the closet. He finds a hammer and some nails and quickly takes the hammer. Downstairs, Gordon hears Morrow barking and kicks the closet, demanding he shut up. "Wait." Gordon stopped, trying to think. He started smelling the air and then realized something. "Smoke!" he said, terrified. He quickly went into the kitchen and got the fire extinguisher and ran upstairs as quickly as he could. Gordon then looked, seeing not only smoke, but fire as well coming from the room. He quickly unlodged the pin and used it, spraying the fire to the best of his ability. As he was spraying the extinguisher, Sean comes from one of the other rooms in the hallway and sneaks forward. As Gordon finishes putting out the fire, he turns as Sean hits the side of his head with the hammer. Blood comes pouring out of him as he falls down, dropping fast. Sean stood over him and went down the hall and ran as fast as he could. As he was running down the stairs, he began panting. "Guys! Mo! Where are you, boy? He shouted. Merle heard him and began barking even louder, alerting Sean. Sean ran to the closet and opened the door as the Rottweiler ran up to him and kept nudging him with affection. I'm so glad you're okay, boy, Sean said, grateful. He petted Merle and got up. We have to find the others and get out of here, he told the dog. Sean looked around the house. Guys? Alexa? Dan? He asked. Sean heard no response and looked back, seeing Merle by the basement door. What is it? Oh no, Sean said, terrified. He walked to the basement door with the hammer. I was really hoping they weren't here, Sean said, scared. Sean grabbed the doorknob as it wouldn't turn. You bastard! Sean screamed, realizing it was also locked. He took his hammer and smacked the knob over and over again. Sean bashed it as it shattered the knob, breaking it apart as it fell down the ground. Upstairs, a hand lying on the ground twitched and began to move as Gordon moaned. As Sean goes through the dark basement, he aims his hammer and gets terrified as he reaches the bottom and steps into something. He sees it's a bloody corpse. As he gets startled and drops down, dropping the hammer, he becomes even more shocked when two walkers on chains reach out for him as Merle barks loudly at them so they get away. Sean catches his breath and grabs the hammer. Alexa? Dan? Are you guys here? He shouted. Inside, Dan and Alexa heard him as they shouted back. Help! Help us! We're trapped! They screamed. Sean carefully walked forward in the dark basement, seeing the blood and gore on the floor, trying not to puke. He heard their cries, and coming from a locked cabinet at the end of the wall. As he took his hammer, swinging it down, loudly breaking the lock and making a ton of noise, Dan and Alexa saw Sean's shadowed face in the dark basement. They slowly began to walk out, as Sean saw that their hands were tied up. Thank you, Sean. What happened to... Merle barked loudly and ran forward as he tried. Charging, he bit into something as it hit him with a 2x4 plank of wood. Sean looked and saw Gordon with blood oozing from his head. Merle charged forward again, but Gordon used a catcher pole and tied Merle's neck with it and pushed him back. He tightened the rope as Merle cried out. Sean looked in horror and charged forward with his hammer, but Gordon let go and grabbed Sean before slamming him onto the ground. Sean fell face first against the bloody concrete as Merle was struggling to breathe, crying out in pain as a wire around his neck. Gordon took the hammer before proceeding to kick Sean in the back, knocking him down as Sean screamed, I thought we could have been a family. You could have been a son to me, but you threw it away, he said, raising the hammer. Sean ducked the hammer against the ground and kicked Gordon in the face before running to Merle. He pressed the button, loosening the wire as Gordon came back, but it was too late. Merle charged forward and bit Gordon in the leg, making him scream. Sean then wrestled the hammer from his hand by biting him in the wrist, drawing blood. As Gordon let go, Sean took the hammer and swung it at him, but Gordon blocked the attack with his arm. The hammer shredded his arm as he fell backwards in pain. Sean took a deep breath as Merle then tried to bite him again, but Sean stopped him. Gordon looked on, and suddenly, Emily grabbed his arm. Gordon wrestled with her as Cody was also reaching for him. Sean, help me, please! He screamed. Sean looked, seeing Dan and Alexa coming out of the cabinet. Let's leave him, Dan stated. This isn't right, Alexa stated. That bastard killed Victor and Trey. He deserves it, Dan argues. Sean looked back and walked forward, grabbing Gordon's other hand before getting a good grip on him. Sean then pulled him away, right into his family, as Gordon looked on in horror. No, Sean, why? He screamed. Emily! Cody! It's me! I love you! Stop! He screamed as they bit into multiple parts of his body. Dan and Alexa looked on in horror and disgust as Gordon's former family teared into him, tearing him to shreds. His screams howl in the basement as a bloody puddle starts forming around them. Sean gets disgusted and tries to look away at the disturbing sight, but he stops himself and continues, forcing himself to watch as the walkers feasted on him. A good while later, Sean and Merle were walking in the house as the blood continued to drop from his face. As Sean looked through, finding his bag, he pulled out a walkie-talkie and turned it on. Suddenly, Merle barked happily, wagging his tail, as Sean looked and realized something was off. It was quiet. Too quiet. He didn't hear any rain. He looked and saw that it wasn't dark outside anymore, and he quickly ran out of the house as Merle chased after him. Sean was amazed, seeing that the sun was shining brightly and the clouds were leaving. The storm was finally over. He then heard a weird voice and heard static coming from his walkie. "Can anyone hear me?" he heard the voice says. Sean quickly pressed a button. "Hello? Who is this?" he asked. "It's me, Jeff," he stated. Sean remembered Jeff. "Jeff? It's me, Sean. Me and some of the others tried to take shelter from the storm in an old house," he confirmed. "Are you guys okay?" he asked. Sean heard his question and then quietly thanked. "Sean, are you okay?" Jeff asked, more concerned. Sean snapped out of it and pressed a button. "No, I'm not. I'm not okay," Sean said eerily.